Tip for the top when working with cherries is to use the oldest t-shirt you own, because you're going to get covered. And keep a cloth by you and just keep wiping it up as you go. Don't they make a mess. Okay, so every year we're really lucky we get given the chance to go and glean cherries from my friend's farm. He grows amazing cherries every year, but it gets to a point where it's not viable to pick them. There's some left on the trees and they need to be picked anyway to kind of stop disease and stuff. So we go and pick them and they're absolutely beautiful. And so what I tend to do is go pick loads and like a ridiculous amount, and then we try and preserve lots of them. Some I'll just freeze, but one of my favourite ways to preserve them is to can them. Do them into pint jars, I raw pack. Dead easy to do, high acid food, so we're going to use my pressure canner, but we're going to use it as a water bath canner. So we're going to fill it up. It's got hot water in it at the moment, which I'm heating up. It takes a long time on that heat plate. And what we need to do is just make sure that there's an inch of water over the top of these cans once they're in and filled. And then they're going to boil then for 25 minutes. And they'll be shelf stable. No need to use the freezer or any other kind of power source to keep them safe on the shelf in there, and we can use them when we want. And what we tend to do, pour them out through a sieve, use the cherries in a crumble or something. Sometimes keep the syrup back to put on my porridge, but not always. We're going to use a light syrup, so we're going to make a light syrup up as well. But what it does be is I've got to pit a lot of cherries now. So I'm going to take the stones out of these. Sit, bit of a boring job, do that, then make myself up sugar syrup. I always use a recipe book. So this is the one that I'm showing you. Came with the canner. It's got from a syrup, so I'm going to use a light syrup, which is about 10% sugar, and it's an American recipe, so it uses cups, but I'm fine with that. So it's got, for a 9-pint load, which is what this will fit, 9 pints in there, we're going to go for 6.5 cups of water to 3/4 a cup of sugar. So it's not very strong at all, but kind of just gives it a little bit of sweetness there. And you have to adjust for your altitude, but because we are pretty low here, well, we're on the hills, but not that high. So you adjust for your altitude, but to raw pack, pints or quarts, it says there, we're gonna do it for 25 minutes. So make sure you adjust for your altitude, you can things to the right length of time. Yeah, let's get pitting some cherries then. Boring. So like anything, I'm sure there's 100 ways of pitting cherries really effectively. I tend to use these, good grips, cherry pitters. It's not a fun job. Try and make sure I'm not getting the pip out each time. And what I'll do is I'll get enough now to fill up a pint jar, and then at least I know how much I need to do to make 9 pints worth. Now if you want to make the most of your crop, what I've been told you can do is you get the pits, you fill it with sugar, and then you flavour the sugar with the cherry juice. It'll draw the last bits of cherry off the pips for you to use, but we've got plenty of cherries, so I don't think we need to bother doing that. Well, this is a really boring job. I'm going to film it, but I'm going to speed it up, don't worry. And then I'm also going to watch some YouTube videos or something while I'm doing it. So definitely boring. Let's see if we've got enough for 1 pint. One. Okay, I worked it out roughly from just tipping these in, so I know roughly a bowl of that is about 9 pints worth of cherries. I'll wash these out now, put them in the oven to sterilise. That should almost be up to temperature. I'm also going to boil some water up to sterilise my lids, and you always use fresh lids with these 2-part mason jars. Tip for the top when working with cherries is to use the oldest t-shirt you own, because you're going to get covered. And keep a cloth by you and just keep wiping it up as you go, 'cause don't make a mess. Put them in about 150 for about 10 minutes. Not quite there yet, so we'll leave a bit longer. It takes a while to get temperature, but when it does, it's there. Okay, so the can is bubbling away. I've got my sugar syrup there, nice and hot, ready to use. I've got my 2-part lids, sterilised in boiling water, and my cans in there are sterilised, and I've got my rings there ready to use as well. So these are nice and hot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, and I'm going to put about half a cupful in each jar. Then my pitted and washed cherries, I'm going to pack into each jar. How is hot when it splashes you? I'm going to pack them in really, nice and tight. I want 1/2 inch headspace. Now you can get the little measuring things that you can use. To be honest with you, I use measurements all day, every day. I know what 1/2 inch is. Do have asbestos hands for this job. Okay, then I'm going to top up to the required headspace, which is 1/2 inch. Then you need to get rid of any air bubbles. Give them a shake. You see we've got an air bubble in that one. Just going down the side of the cans. Checking sure there's not too many. Then using a bit of kitchen towel, we're going to wipe off the tops, make sure there's no sugar or residue on there. We could wreck the seal. Keep moving it around so it gets dirty. Now these lids are disposable, so it's single use. Then we add the rings. Now it's really essential not to be a big heavy-handed brute like I am, and it's just thumb and finger tight. That's enough. Not much effort behind tightening it up. That one might be a little bit too much. You kind of get a feel for it. But when I first started, I had loads fail just because I was trying to do them up too much. Remember, we take all these rings off afterwards anyway. Okay, we'll go over to the camera. Right, I've this is my pressure canner. We are just using it as a water bath canner. Get these in. And want 1 inch of water above them. Okay, we're done in that. Just need to let it get back up now to a rolling boil. So I'm going to put this on. Okay, so the lid's been off for 5 minutes. It means we can get these out to cool down. And what we should get in a little bit is we'll get some lovely popping sounds to show they've sealed. Fingers crossed for 9 have sealed. Okay, it's the next day. These have cooled down now. Please got to touch. This is back on. I'm doing some more. But the key is not to leave the rings on. You want to be able to take them off and lift them up by the lid. You know they've sealed. You should have had some popping as well, so you don't want to be able to press it down the top. It's looking pretty good. Now all that's left is to wash the outsides if it's sticky, and then label them up. So now cherries, raw pack, July 23. Put that on all of those, and then go in the cupboard. So there you have it, 36. I've canned up 36 pints of cherries. It's a bit of a labour of love. It takes forever to do, just pitting them. You can can them with the stones in, so you could do it that way, but I think reason for cakes and stuff is much nicer if they're done. So I've done these, and I've also froze about 15 kilos in the freezer as well. Much thanks to my friends with the cherry farm. It's always appreciated, and it's great to be able to use some fruit that might have gone to waste otherwise. Having a variety of your own shelf-stable preserves and cans on the shelf is just brilliant. It takes a while to learn, once you start canning, to learn to use them more often. We've got much better over that in the last couple of years, where we're using a lot of canned cherries, a lot of canned fruit to make cakes and crumbles and kind of cobblers and things like that. And it just becomes part of what you do. It makes a really, really easy tea, just to make a quick crumble mix. What I quite often do is get my eldest to make a crumble mix. She does double the amount. We freeze half of it. And then 2 pints of this with one of her bags of crumble mix on top makes a crumble, and you can make it in a few minutes, put it in the oven while you're cooking something else. And suddenly you've got a great pudding to have with it, especially in winter when you're really kind of craving a bit of comfort food. So we're preserving the taste of the summer to use in other seasons, and cherries are literally one of the best fruits out there. So yeah, make use of your gluts, high acid food, do some water bath canning, dead simple, really hard to mess this up. Well, I think it is anyway. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.